Welcome to episode 32 of Beers and a Lot. I think you're going to be laughing along with us a lot on this one. We started off talking about some of the tournament hockey going on this weekend with the NWHL, with NCAA. And somehow we started dropping all these weird stats that loosely pertain to Dale Hunter in some way, which led into talking about should an NHL prospect be able to do a pull-up? And then later we were talking about which organizations need to be good for the sake of the league. And we shared a couple of arena stories from games that we've been to in the past. All right, let's go.
Danny and Eric with mighty pours.
Yes.
What are you pouring tonight, Daniel?
So I have Rainbows Are Real Hazy IPA by Clown Shoes Brewing. I haven't had it, so looking forward to it. What do you got?
I have by Rar Brewing an American double IPA named Lumber Sexual. And so I'll make a very long story.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make a very long story short on that. The reason why I fell for that is a great friend of ours, Brandon, who was on the pod. We went up to Johnstown, and two of our teammates came to the bar a little later, and they both had on flannel, and he announced their presence from afar and said, "Hey, look at the Lumber Sexuals over there." It was the two guys on our Johnstown team in flannels, which is still funny to this day. So I totally fell for the kid.
No, wait, we gotta give background on that just real quick. The idea was we were gonna get dress up, like, you know, wear like jackets and stuff.
And we did.
Yeah. And they came in flannel.
Yeah, they came in flannel. I was wearing boat shoes, shorts, a button down, and a really nice blazer I found at the Goodwill earlier in the morning, which is part of the joke too. I spilt red wine all over that blazer later in the evening. I don't know why.
It was red wine and not like...
It's not blood.
Was that before or after you gave the blessing?
Oh, this was after the blessing. It was a sacramental wine I spilt all over myself. That's what it was.
Oh my God.
So
two fisting old fashions at dinner.
Yeah. But anyway, Eric, what were you pouring?
I have from Old Mother Brewing in Frederick, Maryland, Impressionist IPA.
Oh, cool.
It's very, very good. It's awesome. What do you have, Aaron?
I actually have the beer that Johnny had last week from Stillfire down in Atlanta. Midnight Voyage, the Cuban coffee stout. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I almost picked up a coffee stout today. I should have.
It's getting near that time of year where you got to put the stouts and the porters away. Unfortunately,
right.
I had FOMO because I think John had coffee stouts past 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I'm big. I mean, stouts, porters. That's kind of more my forte beer. I like the heavier stuff, but definitely, I mean, we've all said it, especially in the spring, summer, early fall. I like lighter beer, ales, stuff like that. Like I want lighter stuff. But I mean, the nice thing is in Maryland, it was 60 today. So beers like that are starting to become out of season, which is a good thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And since it is springtime, we're getting into hockey playoff season. And I think this weekend is a huge hockey weekend. Maybe not so much for NHL, pros, things like that, but the NWHL is going to finish off the Isobel Cup this weekend, and NCAA gets the Frozen Four regionals going this weekend. So the hockey version of March Madness starts.
Mm-hmm. That's exciting.
So what couch or chair are you parking yourselves in?
Well, I think so NWHL, that's Friday and then Saturday for their finals.
Yes. The first game is at 5 on Friday. Toronto 6 versus the Boston Pride. And the second game Second semifinal is at 8 on Friday. The Minnesota Whitecaps and the Connecticut Whale.
Whitecaps.
Go Six.
Yeah, but
Go Six.
you're making it
Go
a
Six,
W
go.
with your fingers, but you're
Yeah, it
playing
should be
the
an
whale.
Yeah.
Yeah, turn it upside down, and then you got the
Danny-
M. Yeah.
Danny just wants a really good hockey tilt. That's all he wants.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, go Buttes. I mean, 6.
Yeah, go Six. Well, we can't forget Brandon Tanev of the Pittsburgh Penguins had a really good video today coming out to support the NWHL and especially the Toronto Six.
Yeah.
And I think I speak for everyone. That guy looks like a psychopath. I like
Yeah.
Brandon Tanev.
Absolutely.
I like the way he plays. But
He's
since
awesome.
it's actually because he had the shorter hair last year, I had no idea that he like kind of was weird or anything. I was like, man, I like the way he skates. He plays well. Since he's taken on this long hair,
So
he
the hair
just, like-
dictates it?
yeah, I think it's the hair. It has to be the hair, right?
It's like Samson. If he cuts his
Yeah.
hair, it'll be normal again.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Riggs?
He
What were
has
your
the-
thoughts?
He to borrow a line from the Steve Zissou movie, he has the crazy eye.
Spectacular. Yes.
Crazy eyes.
Oh, that's right. Yes, the crazy eye. That low key is still one of the best movies in the history of the world.
Oh,
I'd love that
absolutely, yeah.
movie.
Well, us
Absolutely.
four, all the movie needs to be about is about like boats on the water or whatever. It's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
You spend half the movie on the water, we're gonna be interested.
Searching
See
for a
Jaws,
shark.
Searching for a
They're-
shark.
They're searching for a
yeah.
leopard shark or whatever he called
Yep.
it. Leopard shark.
Yeah, it ate Esteban whole.
He was chewed?
Oh, he was chewed.
No. Eaten.
Eaten.
So who was everybody pulling for in the Frozen Four? Well, in the NCAA tournament.
Well, our friend Mark Brights, who works the equipment job for the women's side at Minnesota State, he's been helping out with the men's side since they're still in it. I forget who they play in the
They play
in the
Quinnipiac,
semifinal.
actually. Quinnipiac.
Oh, they play QU. Okay.
Yeah.
So MSU and QU. I actually think Minnesota State, and I told you guys this earlier in the week, I think they're sort of a sleeper pick. I think you can pick them all the way through to the Frozen Four. Their possession numbers are very strong. They put up a lot of shot attempts. They score, obviously. So I think they could surprise some of the more well-known teams coming out of like Hockey East or the NCHC. So, but then you have, Minnesota, who's just been rolling over everybody in the Big Ten. You have
As they do.
You have North Dakota, who was, just flying around and scoring all kinds of goals and stuff. So it should be fun to watch. I love that tournament. I think it's great because those games start at 1:00 on Friday, and they basically go until Sunday afternoon when the regional finals finish up, and then it shakes out, and you figure out who the Frozen Four is, and a couple weeks from then they play that leg of the tournament. So it's awesome.
For
Always an
me,
exciting tournament.
for the Frozen Four, I have to think either Michigan or Wisconsin with Cole Caulfield, especially since Cole Caulfield has been really heating up and driving the bus. A lot of people, I felt bad for him because he did a lot of great things in the World Junior Championships. He didn't put up the points that we probably expected out of him, but he was doing everything correct. He just wasn't getting some of the
shadows
puck.
to get out underneath of that tournament too.
Exactly.
And
And
guys like
Zegras,
Trevor Zegras, I mean,
he
stole
kind of stole the show a little bit, and I'm happy for him. And I think that kind of helped Cole a little bit because when he went back to Wisconsin, he's been lights out since. I mean, he hasn't really stopped. And yeah, I think like Eric said, North Dakota's high up there. Minnesota State, good sleeper pick. I agree. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
That was gonna be my pick, Cole Caulfield, pretty much. I
Just
just like
Cole.
watching him. Yeah, just Cole.
Yeah, but the problem with that is every team has like a kid like that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to just point at Wisconsin and say, "Oh yeah, Cole Caulfield." Like, okay, I get it. But every team has that one guy that, like, Penn State's not in, but like if they were, you'd be talking about Alex Limoges, right? Like he's one of those kids. Notre Dame is in, right? So, you talk about Pavanka or somebody, but if you look at the whole team's, I don't know. I really like that Minnesota State team, and I'm not just saying that because we've had rights on the pod.
Yeah, I know. No, I agree. Yeah. Well, the one thing too, like to pivot to my favorite thing of the year, the NHL draft. Part of me kind of gets excited with the NCAA tournament and all the eyes on the NCAA tournament in general this year because it's a good chance for scouts in the States to watch these kids.
Yeah.
So I would like to see more NCAA kids go in the first and second rounds this year than we've seen prior because they've played a season.
Do you know that of the 31 active teams in the NHL, there is only one that does not have a prospect playing in this tournament? Which team is the only NHL team that does not have a prospect playing in the tournament?
Give me a small hint. I have an idea, but give me a hint if you don't mind.
Is it Buffalo?
I was going to say Buffalo.
It's
but
not,
part of me
it's
didn't
not
want to.
Buffalo, and right, it's
Give me a
not
hint.
Buffalo.
Is it a team I generally like?
No, you do not like this team.
East or
So
West?
it's Arizona.
No, it's not Arizona. It is
East or
in the
West?
East. It is
It's
in
in
the
the
East. Yes.
So is it Philly or Washington?
It is the Washington Capitals.
Wow.
Okay.
They do not have an NCAA prospect playing in the tournament.
Wow.
Interesting.
I just saw that today and I was like, how is this possible?
Well, it isn't.
Especially with a team that has a rebuild like on the horizon.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And isn't this the first year I saw something, and I may be butchering the stat. Isn't this the first year like that all the Minnesota teams eligible for the NCAA tournament made it in, and they're all coached by Minnesota natives?
Yeah, right. So Minnesota, UMD,
Minnesota, Duluth. Yep.
MSU.
I'm sure there's other teams we just can't think of it because we're not looking at the thing. Well, Mankato's Man State.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it used to be Mankato. St. Cloud.
And Bemidji.
Bemidji's not.
Bemidji's in it. They're in Minnesota.
Are they in Minnesota?
Yeah, they're in Minnesota.
Right. So 5.
St. Cloud, Bemidji, UMD,
MSU.
Yeah. Omaha could surprise people too because they looked really good in the NCHC pod. They looked awesome.
All the teams, we watch a lot of as much NCAA as we can too. Like all those teams can beat anybody on a given night, and especially a single elimination tournament. You never know what happens.
Yeah.
Single elimination's tough.
Yeah. A few years ago, Shane Gostisbehere in Union won an NCAA title.
Yeah. Union.
Shane Gostisbehere is doing great in Philly. Is he still healthy scratched like left and right too? Like
man, Philly.
Maybe he was scratching that 9-0 game.
Yeah.
It's really easy to dunk on them right now.
Oh yeah.
Well, as 3 Pittsburgh guys and a Caps guy. Easy to dunk on Philly.
When I was texting Rigsby about the Philly Rangers game the other day, he said, "Fuck them."
The 9-0 game.
Rangers fans shouldn't get too excited about that game though, because Lafreniere probably still only put like 8 points up in that game. Like Zibanejad did all the work.
Oh yeah, he had 5 points in the second period.
Yeah. Oof. And Breadman too, because Breadman's back.
For some reason, it just reminded me of a game that me and Daniel and I think John played in. No, it might have been I forget who it was, but or in our adult league game, and the score ended up something like 14-1, 14-2, and 13-2 or whatever it was, I had 0 points. So very last goal of the game, we're in the third period, and we've decided we're not going to take it easy on whatever this team was. I forget the circumstances, honestly, but we decided we weren't going to take it easy to prove some sort of point. So last goal of the game,
Fuck them.
it's like,
Yeah.
fuck them.
Fuck 'em.
It's like me and Daniel and another guy, one of like our big forwards on the team, going down. It's like 3-on-0, and I get the pass and I should have shot, but I passed it back because I didn't want to screw it up. And so I ended up with just an assist on a 14-goal game while everybody else had like 10.
Geez, Sharon.
You must not have been on the team, John, because
I was
everybody's
not on
making
that
fun of
team.
me for weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I remember you and I were in one game. We lost like 10-8. And I remember being so mad after the game, only because I just like joked the whole time. Like, if you literally shot the puck on the net from anywhere, it will go in tonight. And I remember saying that. That was also the game I yelled at some guy who was like 8 feet in front of me to not touch the puck. Like, don't touch it! Because I wanted to get it and go out. Just skate. And I had a feeling if he touched it, he would botch it. And I also yelled at the ref when we were trying to mount a comeback. Because he didn't blow the whistle. Because he didn't blow the whistle on the goal. We're trying to come back. Blow the whistle.
All right, so back to New York though. Yeah. Laffy, I don't know how many he got, but probably like 1.
In a 9-0
Pull up the
game.
stats on that.
Yeah, he's out of
game.
he's out of the Calder race. Sorry, buddy.
Way out.
Yeah.
He stinks.
More time. Needs more time.
Do you think maybe Sidney Crosby is like semi-happy because the only good prospect still to come out of Rimouski is him? You think like he's like, yeah, it was me. Still me. Still me.
You'd think that Rimouski would be like developing and like be able to build off of him, no problem. You'd think that anybody who was any good would want to be going to Rimouski.
I think that's all junior teams, because look at like the Erie Otters, for example. They had Ryan O'Reilly, who was like the crown jewel. And granted, Ryan O'Reilly is a great NHL player. He's a Conn Smythe winner, Stanley Cup winner, good player. So everyone was like, Ryan O'Reilly was the best player to come through Erie, and well deserved. And then Connor McDavid came along, and no one remembers that Ryan O'Reilly came through Erie. No one even remembers.
Understand.
Well, I remember for a while it was the Windsor Spitfires. They were like the big shots because they had Taylor Hall. They had a couple other big names that turned into. They had Josh Hosang, who didn't turn out to be as big of a deal as he was in Windsor, but he was a big deal in Windsor, and he looked like he was going to be pretty hot, and then didn't really make it in the NHL as well. He ended up in the Islanders, so there's that.
The factory these days is London. The Knights.
Oh yeah,
right?
Like
how many guys have come out of there and just tore up the league?
Right.
Patty Kane, John Carlson, like all these
Robbie
guys.
Schrem.
Like all these guys.
Sam
Gagne. And who's the head coach there, John?
I believe that is Dale Hunter.
Yeah, your favorite.
You know what? I have a problem with that guy. I mean, we won't talk about it clearly because, like, I could go on for a few hours. Like, I just don't understand how some people, especially when I go to Caps games, and I've nothing. I will be the first one to say the experience at Caps games from when I was going when I was like 14, 15, 16 to when I go currently, much better. It's a much better atmosphere for hockey, even though they're still wearing Steckel jerseys and Dale Hunter jerseys. Like, I'll forgive that. Like, if you have a Dale Hunter jersey and you tell me, like, the guy's a Hall of Famer, I'm like, he has 9,000 penalty minutes and he injured a 50-goal scorer after
but how many
scored.
points? How many points did he have?
Dale Hunter?
Yeah. He scored a lot.
He did. Well, yeah, probably because he like threatened to kill people. That's probably why he got the
He scored a lot. I think he holds some
immediately.
sort of
I'm
obscure
like penalty record
for
assault.
Most points and most points, most penalty minutes, like in a combination.
So he has 1,020 and 3,500 PIMs.
Huh. Okay.
How
All
many
right.
points?
Well, I'll give you 1,020
in 1,400 games.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played a different era.
It's pretty good.
That's what it is.
Well, all right. I'll give you guys. All right. I'll give you guys an interesting trivia question. The only players, there's 2, I believe, the last time I looked at this, that had 100 penalty minutes and 100 points in the same season. Only 2 players.
Sidney Crosby.
That's 1.
No.
That was his rookie year.
Yep.
Sidney Crosby, his rookie year, had 120 penalty minutes and like 109 points. Yeah, half of his were like unsportsmanlike because he was mouthing off of the ref. Anybody guess the other one? Played for Detroit, Dallas, a few other teams. Little ball of hate. That's a hint.
Oh, I should know based on that.
Yeah, I should know based
Crap.
on the nickname.
I don't know.
But I can't
Pat
remember
Verbeek.
his real name.
Can't
Yeah,
Pat
Verbeek. Yeah.
Yep. Because I remember when I saw that stat, I was kind of like shocked. I'm shocked like no one from the 70s did that. Like none of the Flyers did that.
You're kind of like a stat guy tonight.
A little bit.
Like
it's like obscure stuff that I already know.
You just been throwing out stats tonight. Like we should just the whole episode just throw out stats.
Just throw out random numbers. Yeah.
You know who's 72nd in NHL? No, I'm not gonna do that. All right, I'll give you. Actually, I do have a really good one. Can you name the top 5 teams in Corsi right now? Positive.
No.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No.
Not even gonna try.
No,
Okay.
and I usually look at that stuff. I haven't looked at it. I haven't looked at it in a while.
I don't follow that.
Really? Corsi's simple. It's easy.
No, I just don't
Yeah,
follow
we
it.
get it. We just don't follow it.
Okay. So the only team in the top 5 that would shock you is Montreal right now. They're in the top 5 in Corsi, but somehow it's not all clicking.
No, it's because Carey Price has been playing like shit.
Exactly.
And then they fired the goalie coach and they did all this stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Montreal, really good underlying numbers. On ice performance, meh.
You do know that the underlying numbers are indicative of on ice performance, right?
Well, Corsi's one of the underlying numbers.
Like you can't.
I thought it was weight room.
You can't get Corsi numbers off the ice. Like you can't.
Well,
you know.
Danny's worried about 40 times bench press and VO2 max. Like that's all he wants to see.
He just wants to see the combine results. Yeah.
How many V-ups can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
I am not a fan of like watching combine like stuff. I could care less.
It's like watching. It's like people that watch the CrossFit competitions. You know when they have those on TV. If you watch those, that's the combine. Like,
well, at least those dudes are jacked. Like the kids there at the combine for the NHL, you're like, who is this guy?
Well, they're like 18 years old.
Yeah,
man.
I know. I'm saying though, like
they're not even full adults yet. They're just kids,
there was someone.
He was a man. He had a beard.
I'm serious. I forget. I remember there was a prospect in the last 5 years who's like actually good, who couldn't do a pull up. Like they got on it to do the draft combine and couldn't do a pull up. And I just kind of chuckled at that because they were like hammering him. I'm like, yeah, but the kid can skate like the wind and shoot the puck.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Is a pull up an indication of whether they can like play hockey well or not, or play at a pro level?
No.
Like if you're just going for base level of fitness, okay, I get it. But if you're trying to determine like, okay, am I going to draft this kid 26th or 34th? Like whether they did 1 or 5 or 12 pull-ups in a given period of time,
who gives a
should
shit?
not
Erroneous.
impact that decision. Like,
erroneous on all counts. Yeah.
Pretty sure you could get him to do a pull-up after a month of work. Like
right. Like
well, not just that. Like,
it's
is that
gonna be
really
fine.
what they do?
Like
Because you think about it, a pull-up or like this is all it is, right? I mean, you got to get your body in sync, but like
that's a chin up. A pull-up's
pull-up. Yeah, my bad.
This way.
Anyway, yeah, I can show how much I know. Anyway, I'm an athlete though, so fuck it. Anyway,
I am gonna use that.
I was gonna say it's kind of. I was watching the highlights of the Blackhawks, and I was just gonna say it's kind of cool to see that Patrick Kane have a resurgence because he kind of dropped off.
Has he really had a resurgence though?
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Taze.
Well,
Like,
Taze is.
I don't even see Taze.
It's almost like they
anymore,
just
ever.
got settled in. We're like, okay, yeah, this is fine.
Oh, is he out?
Well, because he's not playing.
been
I
out.
don't know.
Yeah.
He has some weird. There's something going on
Really?
with him, like a weird medical thing. Like he was dropping weight, and he couldn't figure out why. They don't even have a
Wow.
diagnosis for what's going on. It's very weird. And I actually like Jonathan Toews. Like he says all the right things as a captain. He seems like he's a good guy.
But with Kane, he's also he's assumed that leadership role that Tays had. You could see him like taking that team and leading them through what they're going through, especially with the young guys.
And a young coach too.
I think it's good. I think it's good for the Blackhawks, and it's an original 6 team, and they need to be strong in order for the league to be strong. So that's good. Plus, he's on my fantasy team.
Yeah. So funny you kind of mentioned like because they're original 6. Are there certain teams that any of you think where they need to be good because it's better for the league if they are good? Like, are there one or two teams? Toronto? What about you, Aaron?
It's tough because there's a few that I think the league would benefit immensely if these teams were seriously relevant. There's like a few of them. So asking me to pick one or two, or one, I don't know.
All right, 2 then.
The first one that comes to mind, though, is the Kings, actually. Because
the media market?
The market is so big, and there's so many celebrities that could prop up the game in L. Like, it's a good thing when LA is a big deal. And they're such a big market, and they've got so much reach to get the game, to grow the game.
Yeah.
But then you also think about
That's a good idea.
like the Panthers or some of the markets where there is big reach potential. Like the Panthers being close to Miami, they have the potential to have more reach because Miami's similar to LA for the same reasons. And I don't know. There's a couple markets that I think
Miami West
in general are good.
What about you, Daniel?
LA is probably my first pick, though. LA, and then also the Rangers. The Rangers too.
Okay. What about you,
Detroit,
Daniel?
Yeah. I mean, they had that all those years of winning, and now they're not doing that at all. And I think they had so many years of just a lot of good talent coming through there, and they had that culture of winning, and they don't have that anymore. I think the league is better when they have that winning culture.
Do you think part of that is the price they paid for winning and doing well so long? I shouldn't say winning as in cup-wise, but, being competitive.
Possibly. I mean, all good things have to come to an end, right?
Well, I think that Detroit is kind of in this subset where the market, like the actual town that they're in, isn't necessarily as important as the overall reach of that particular organization.
The organizations.
Yeah.
Because the Pens are kind of the same way. The Caps are kind of getting to that point, honestly, where it's almost like they're bigger than the town they're in, and their fan base is so spread out.
Yeah.
Like Detroit and Penguins in particular, no matter where you go, those teams will fill the opposing.
Well, and I think a lot of that's
right.
because of the industry and whatnot that left those towns. So, like my parents, I can say they left those towns. There's a lot of people in that, kind of baby boomer-esque generation, whatever you want to call it. They left those towns, so that's why when you see the Pittsburgh Penguins in Arizona or San Jose, they fill the arena. But also too, you could say it's the players they have too. You could easily say that that's part of it.
It's all about like people are gonna go, like someone in San Jose is gonna buy tickets to the game when Pittsburgh is in town to go watch Crosby. They're gonna buy the tickets to go watch Washington because Ovechkin is on the ice, right? That's what it is. And that was the Gretzky effect back in the day, and now it's the Crosby Ovechkin effect, McDavid effect.
I mean, look at I think Austin Matthews is like a direct effect of the. Well, Matthews is a child of the Gretzky Arizona Sunbelt kind of growth.
Yes, absolutely.
Or
even if you look at any of the kids that were high draft picks that came out of California, right, or came out of Florida recently.
Yeah.
That's all directly from Gretzky playing in LA and being in that big market, and raising the prominence of the league. I think we've talked about two sort of different types of teams or franchises that we hope do well because it's good for the league. One side of it is it's just a huge media market, right? New York, LA, even Chicago to a certain extent,
Mhm.
right? They're just huge media markets. There's so many people, so many eyes on the product that if the team is doing well, then the league gains some exposure. And then there are more like traditional or maybe new traditional hockey markets where, a Detroit, a Buffalo, a Pittsburgh, maybe Washington is getting there based on the number of kids that are playing hockey now in the area.
Well, I kind of think Buffalo's a different bag of worms.
If the team is doing well, then there's more eyes on the product. There's more eyes on the league, and that's a good thing. Or all the original 6 teams, right? Toronto, Montreal, Boston. Like if those teams are doing well, the league is doing well. Those are deep rooted hockey markets with lots of history, and if the team is doing well, you're going to have lots of eyes on, and that can only be good for the NHL and hockey in general.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I lumped Detroit into the same sentences as Pittsburgh and and Washington, because they have such a long history. They have fans that are producing more fans just through normal progress of things, so like
power outages. You're talking about power outages and things of that nature. Yeah,
blizzards.
Power
outages,
power outages,
COVID,
championships, COVID.
COVID.
Yeah.
Some of us have been affected.
Yeah. Now that so now that we're talking about this, I kind of want to add to my bucket list a Toronto Edmonton game. Like I would love to go watch those two teams match off.
I want to see Toronto.
That would be awesome.
In Toronto.
That would be amazing.
Yes.
Just to watch McDavid.
Well, and
awesome.
I would say
other cast
and the other cast,
and
whatever.
And the other players.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, so Eric and I have had kind of like the argument, like jokingly, like over the last couple of years. Would you rather go see a Saturday night hockey night in Canada? We all want to see Connor McDavid, so we'll say Connor McDavid because we want Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl at the Bell Center in Montreal, or Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto.
Me personally,
Toronto.
Montreal
would say
is so special. Montreal, there's something about Montreal.
Yeah. I don't want to give that org any money.
But there's something there's something special. I'm serious.
No.
There's something special.
It's a different,
it's a different atmosphere.
And I haven't been to either, right? But I know the history of the two organizations, and if you had a choice of McDavid in Toronto or McDavid in Montreal on Saturday night,
hockey night in Canada, baby.
I think you would want to see McDavid in Montreal.
Yeah.
Just because both buildings are going to be electric. Both buildings, the atmosphere is going to be amazing. But there's something about Montreal on a Saturday night, from what I've read and heard.
And seen on the TV, yeah.
It's
heard from various coaches. Montreal typical.
Yeah, Montreal typical. Yeah,
it's a little. Yeah,
it just looks. It does look like there's a little extra juice.
It's a little bit different. The energy, and also it's a bigger building. There's more people, so there's, if you're looking at the numbers, there's going to be more energy, more noise, whatever. I think you'd want to go to Montreal. Now, I want to go to both places. Like I've never seen a game in Montreal. I've never seen a game in Toronto. I have seen a game in Ottawa and whatever. I mean, it was cool. It was hockey night in Canada, but like,
what year was that?
It wasn't Toronto or Montreal. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, so post Daniel Alfredson.
So who was there? Who was there? Like, who'd you see?
The only, so I went there when Washington was in Ottawa.
Okay. So you at least saw your home team, right?
The like wife and kid, we went up. So we saw Washington after the Cup, right? So it was the December after the Cup. The only player that I remember, the only two players I remember on Ottawa at the time, Borokop was still there. Borowiecki was still there.
Okay. Blocking a million shots.
And I can't remember the name of the kid who started in goal for Ottawa, but it was his first NHL start.
Well, that's literally like their team this year.
And
like outside of Matt Murray, every other kid is the first NHL start.
And after the first period, it was like 2 or 3-0 or something like that. And then the second period kind of stabilized. Ottawa came back, and then Washington scored like a goal or two in the third and won.
Yeah.
Was Bobby Ryan still there?
Yes.
He was still on the roster. I don't know if he was playing, but he was still on the roster. And the other thing about that was, like, we went up there, go to the game, and during warm-ups, 2 things happened. One was I stood up to like take video of the warm-ups, and I got yelled at by an usher. Like, you need to sit down like, during warm-ups. Like, we were down low. We were like, I don't know, 7 rows away from Ottawa's bench. And then there was like a tournament, like a kids tournament in Ottawa that weekend. No idea. And I think it was the Ashburn, like, Pee-wees were up there or something. So we went over and talked to them for a little bit, like, oh, hey, yeah, Washington, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then
we're from the DMV. Hey.
Yeah, we're up here at the same time.
How about the cool. Saboro at the check-in? Yeah, that's great.
You're probably 2 fisting blue lights at that point.
Yeah.
Molson's. No, I wasn't. So
some Molson's.
So they had Molson, but the seats that we had wait staff because we were down low.
Oh,
so
wow,
fancy.
Wow, Rigsby.
Like, you had to pay per beer, right? Like, but they take your order and then
that's dangerous.
Oh, you fancy? Huh?
Oh, you fancy?
I was having. I forget what I was having, but it was some like local, it was local beer, whatever. Because I didn't want to like just get Molson. Like, want to have something that's local to the Ottawa area. Even though the building is 45 minutes
Coors Light
from Ottawa.
You had a tall Coors Light, didn't you?
but these
Coors Latte. Yeah, Coors Latte. There are rumors of that in Ottawa due to the issues with the transit and whatnot out to the arena.
Dude, it's 45 minutes away. We had to take a 45-minute Uber outside of the. We were staying in the city, like basically 4 blocks.
You guys were like on the canal, pretty much,
from the Parliament. We were 4 blocks from the Parliament building.
Yeah,
we walked around town the day before, went down to the canal, went to the Byward Market, went to all that stuff. Saw like it was right after Christmas, so they were doing like the projections and stuff on the Parliament building. It was awesome. And then the next night when we're going to the game, it's like, okay, we got to order an Uber and ride out there for like 45 minutes. And basically the arena is in the middle of like 4 car dealerships and like an IKEA and like some other box stores.
Wait, time out. It's what like, kind of car dealerships are we talking about here? We talking about like Ashley Ford. Schaefer BMW? You know, Ashley Schaefer BMW? Or are we talking about Ashley Schaefer Kia? Which
like
are two distinct
so
car dealerships
it's
we're
not
talking about.
but the whole point is like it's not the experience
That's
of
too far.
like staying in Toronto or living in Toronto and then going to back in the day the old Maple Leaf Garden, or now like the new building, which is still right downtown,
Right.
or in Montreal where everything's right downtown, you know.
It sounds like these two experiences. Well, I guess you haven't been to the Toronto game, but
I want to go.
My
Yeah.
brother used to live in New York City, and I've actually been to an Isles game at Nassau, and I've been to a Rangers game at MSG. So going to MSG was great. You get on the subway and you go.
And you're there.
Going to Nassau, it's like an hour drive out of the city.
Drive
it's terrible.
Or get
It's
on
so
the train.
Or the train. Oh,
Yeah.
the little, the whatever Long Island Rail. Oh, it's terrible.
I remember my MSG experience because I went a billion years ago. Pettins got smoked like 6-1. Gary Roberts got kicked out of the game about 5 minutes into it, and I heard that Rangers song like "Whoa, let's go Rangers" like 6 times. But it was so cool because I listened. I was sitting next to these actual, you know, season ticket Ranger guys who, you know, it's kind of like, oh, I'm from Maryland, but I'm a big Penguins fan. My whole family, yada yada. What's it like, you know, coming to this every, you know, couple of days? And they're like, I've been coming to Rangers games for 15 years. You know, we just walked down from so and so, and you know, and it's interesting to hear like his or her path going to the game because it's in the city, and it's the other thing cool about New York, where it's very specific to New York, is Penn Station is right below. So the fact that like, people that are just transient in the city going in and out, and they're just passing under this amazing arena that has all this rich history, it's very special. It's really cool. And not to mention just the boxing matches and the Knicks and all the other stuff that
everybody who's been
cool.
There.
Exactly.
Dude, I've got an MSG story now. I've got to tell this.
Oh yes, please.
When my brother and I went to see the Rangers at Madison Square Garden.
What year was
playing? Oh God, I don't even remember, honestly. Maybe 2010, something around there. I honestly forget. Kovalev was on the Ottawa Senators at the time. So,
wow.
Yeah, this is ancient history.
This is ancient history.
Oh.
So, anyway, it's Rangers and Ottawa. So, at some point in the game, Kovalev gets tripped and a Ranger goes to the box. I don't remember, the details aren't important. So the kids sitting next to us, they had to be like, I don't know, maybe mid-20s or so. So you could tell that they were not really serious hockey fans. They're just looking for something to do. So this kid goes in a perfect New York accent. He's like, oh, that's bullshit. No Ranger would ever dive like that. What a dive. It's such a dive. Completely oblivious to the fact that Kovalev won a freaking cup with the Rangers not however many years before. Never forget it. Well, that's going to do it for episode 32, everybody. Hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed recording it. Housekeeping time. Don't forget to check the social media posts for the beer roster and the can art photo. Be sure to jump into Discord at beersintheLot.com/Discord. That way you can give us some feedback and join in other conversations there. And if you want to get your hands on the Beers in the Lot koozie or get access to the bonus content like listening to us record live, check us out on Patreon. beersintheLot.com/Patreon for that. Thanks again for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next week.